Welcome to the Towering Tropical Shirt Spangled Rum Football Update, where I get to talk about all things NFL. Holy Mark Gastineau! Roger Goodell has come out and said NFL teams can start opening up their facilities this week, providing, of course, they follow federal, state, and NFL guidelines. Now, what does that mean? It means that teams can now open their facility to players who are rehabbing from injury and some support staff, coaches, trainers, things like that, but no players. Players are still not allowed to show up, so we don't know when that's going to happen, but opening them up is a big deal, especially for the 4 teams that have new coaches. You have the Cleveland Browns, the Washington Redskins, the Dallas Cowboys, and the Carolina Panthers. Now, you know the Cowboys and the Browns are going to get a lot of ink, but I'm going to pay close attention to the Carolina Panthers. New coach, Matt Rule, he's coming out of college, so there's that adjustment there. His whole offense is now going to be going around Teddy Bridgewater, not Cam Newton. So there's going to be a big adjustment for those players who used to play with Cam. Plus, his defense is now going to be led by somebody else other than Luke Kuechly, who retired this year. So, Matt Rule, as a coach, you got your work cut out for you. And speaking of coaches, the NFL recently just came out and said that due to the appalling lack of African American and minority coaches in the NFL, they are thinking about, and they're going to have a vote on it this week, about instituting these new rules that will reward teams for hiring front office minority and African American personnel. Now, the rules and the compensations are just too detailed to get into, but the NFL is trying to do something about the lack of diversity that they're seeing on the sideline and in the front office. And while I do understand that, I'm not really quite sure if that is the way to go. Now, you really want to make a big change in the NFL, you got to start at the top. What does that mean? It means ownership. Now, currently in the NFL, there's no black ownership, and you know why? Because, well, hell, they're all billionaires. They're all white billionaires. I did some research. Currently, according to Forbes magazine, as of today, there are 4, count them, 4 African American billionaires. 2 of which you do know, you've heard of before, Michael Jordan and Oprah Winfrey. Now, I'm not saying that these 4 black Americans should go out there and buy a team or even head up the search to buy a team, but when you want to start making change at the top level, you can only do so much for legislation and rules, but it's gotta start at the top. Think about that, NFL. And my final thought is to Phyliss George. She just passed away recently, and those of you who are old enough to remember, Phyliss George was the first woman to sit on the set of the NFL Today. She is and was a sports broadcaster back in 1975. And that's in an era when the league, top executives, TV, whatever, were filled with Cro-Mags and knuckle draggers. Yet she stuck it out. And she led the way to the Jane Kennedys, the Andrea Kramers, Hannah Storm, Michelle Tafoya, Erin Andrews, Josina Anderson, all the top women sportscasters and sideline reporters, talking to you, Susie Kobler, they all have to pay homage, they should pay homage to Phyliss George. Phyliss George was a class act, and she could talk football. That's it. Hopefully everyone is staying safe. Please, even though wherever you live, they're opening up restrictions, just because they say you can go out and hang out and party all the time, or some of the time, be smart. You're always safer at home. Please adhere to health and federal and state guidelines, because we want you back. When in doubt, wear your mask. See you soon.